The calculus professor called on the quiet woman in the back row, hoping to humiliate her. "Miss Callahan, solve this equation now," he demanded with a smirk. Little did he know, Evelyn Callahan had been solving complex mathematical formulas since she was 12. What happened next would change everything. At 38, Evelyn stood out among the 20-somethings at Westmore University. She'd spent 20 years dreaming of returning to finish what she'd started before life took an unexpected turn. Room 307, Advanced Calculus with Dr. Howard Garner. She took a deep breath before entering. Dr. Garner's reputation preceded him: brilliant, demanding, notoriously difficult to impress. "Look to your left. Look to your right. One of those people won't be here by midterms," he announced. His eyes landed on Evelyn, lingering just long enough to make her uncomfortable. As Dr. Garner lectured, Evelyn's hand moved across her notebook, adding corrections, alternative approaches, connections he hadn't mentioned. "Miss Callahan, you disagree with my approach?" He'd noticed her writing. "No, sir, just taking notes." His lips tightened. "Perhaps you'd like to share your notes with the class tomorrow." By week's end, the whispers had started. "You worked in insurance, was it?" "Accounting, for a manufacturing company." Quite a leap to advanced theoretical mathematics. His tone suggested the leap was too great. Dr. Harriet Powell noticed the older woman in the library, surrounded by advanced texts. Heavy reading for week 1. They spoke briefly, and Harriet invited her to the faculty colloquium. "I'm inviting you. Tuesday, 4 p.m. In class, Dr. Garner seemed determined to find Evelyn's breaking point. "Miss Callahan, perhaps you could explain where you're struggling with this concept." "I understand the concept, Dr. Garner. I was just considering an alternative approach to the proof." "How novel. I'd be fascinated to hear it." "Tomorrow, perhaps." At the colloquium, Dr. Garner presented his research. Evelyn noticed an inefficiency in his methodology. When confronted, she quietly noted, "The tertiary function could be simplified." His laugh was dismissive. "If it could be simplified, don't you think someone would have done so? Someone with more than a week of formal education?" The room grew uncomfortable. "If you have a chalkboard available," she said evenly, "I'd be happy to demonstrate." The next day, tension hung in room 307. "Ms. Callahan has volunteered to demonstrate her alternative approach," Dr. Garner announced. Evelyn walked to the board, heart hammering but hands steady. She laid out the standard approach first, then began her alternative. The chalk moved confidently. "The traditional method requires 12 distinct operations. But if we consider the relationship between these functions differently." Dr. Garner's expression faltered as her solution progressed. "This can't be right. You've skipped essential steps." "I haven't skipped them. I've rendered them unnecessary." She completed her demonstration. 7 operations instead of 12, with identical results. Dr. Garner examined her work. "Where did you encounter this method, Miss Callahan?" "I didn't encounter it. I developed it." Dr. Powell stepped into the room. "What Miss Callahan has demonstrated is remarkably similar to a paper published last year under the pseudonym E.C. Reynolds, a pseudonym that has appeared on 6 influential papers over the past decade." She looked at Evelyn. "Despite no one knowing the author's identity, you're claiming to be E.C. Reynolds?" Evelyn nodded. "I needed to publish anonymously. Without formal credentials, my work wouldn't be taken seriously." A student spoke up. "Wait, E.C. Reynolds? Those papers are brilliant. Why are you here?" Dr. Garner asked. "If you're truly E.C. Reynolds, you could be lecturing." "Because I want the credentials to match the knowledge. Because my daughter finally has her chance at college and now it's my turn. Because I've spent 20 years learning in stolen moments." News traveled quickly. Dr. Garner's approach underwent a shift. The pointed questions were replaced by thoughtful inquiries. Students approached Evelyn for help. Faculty who had looked through her now introduced themselves. "The traditional sequence has served us well," Dr. Garner told the curriculum committee weeks later. "But I believe we must evolve our approach. Recent innovations suggest we may be doing our students a disservice." "Aren't you proposing we adopt the E.C. Reynolds approach you dismissed last year?" Dr. Jenkins asked. "I've reconsidered in light of new evidence," Garner replied stiffly. He approached Evelyn after. "The department is hosting a symposium next month. I'm asking you to co-present with me." This was more than courtesy. It was public acknowledgement of her expertise. 6 months later, Evelyn stood before a packed lecture hall for her first public appearance as E.C. Reynolds. The applause was immediate and enthusiastic. "Congratulations, Evelyn," Dr. Garner said afterward, using her first name for the first time. "I owe you an apology. My initial assessment was profoundly incorrect. In mathematics, we revise our hypotheses when new data contradicts them," she replied. "It's not a failure. It's part of the process. I've had plenty of practice being underestimated. It taught me to recognize the value of people who can change their minds." As they walked together, Dr. Garner reflected that his most important lesson this year hadn't come from a textbook, but from the quiet woman he had mistakenly tried to humiliate.